Much better, thank you. So, well, that's the wrong thing. Take this one. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Hi. I'm glad to see that many faces after the first party last night. And I'm really glad to be invited to keynote this Drupal camp here at Dabernig. I think that the organizers, I think we should start at giving applause to the team because you made something possible even though all the political situation is quite complicated at the moment. So thank you for making this event happen. Today I'm going to talk about how we as a Drupal community are changing the web and how we are doing so by connecting open minds. So a quick overview. I'm going to start off with Drupal as a success story. Why are we successful? How the community works. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges that we are facing, our expectations for Drupal 8, and how you can contribute. So, my name is Josef Dabernig. On Twitter and Drupal.org I'm Dasio, and I work for a Vienna-based Drupal shop that's called Drunomics. We focus on professional development services. We have created the Entity API module, the Rules module, and yeah, feel free to contact us. On the personal side, you might know me from the Facet API Pretty Fast module, and I've also worked a lot with mapping modules, including the GeoCluster module. But what I'm really passionate about is the community. So here you can see me in Central America, and I will get a little bit more in depth about why I'm so passionate about connecting with people like you and talking about the success story of Drupal. So what is Drupal and why is it so successful? Just too slow. Okay. So Drupal basically allows us to create online web presences, and there are so many of them, so we are powering now more than 2% of the web, and that number is constantly increasing. And for example, we use it as a publishing platform, and we is like all of the world. There are big publishers like The Economist that are creating high traffic news websites based on this powerful tool. We have robust search capabilities, so using the views module, exposed filters, including integration with Search API, external services like Apache Solr. We can create powerful search tools, or we can use it as a discussion platform. So for example, the Twitter developers group is based on Drupal. So it's really great for all these community features where lots of people interact on the site. User management, roles, all these capabilities make Drupal an awesome platform. We have seen this on the Drupal Camp Donetsk website. We can see it on many websites. They have to be multilingual, they have to be available in different languages, and Drupal has great multilingual capabilities for translating the user interface, translating the content itself, and combining with actual translation management services in order to support those powerful workflows. Then we can see for digital libraries, there's band launch programs. So take for example Sony Music. They have tons of music artist websites based on Drupal, and it also allows big contributors like Earl Miles, Merlin of Chaos, to write the views module, to write the panels module, and every one of us can reuse it. So it's really beneficial to see those big projects make use of the open source Drupal project and contribute there. Drupal is also a service builder. So take the Drupal Rooms distribution for booking accommodations, or Drupal Gardens as a WordPress equivalent of a publishing platform on the web as a service. And anyone can build up a service using Drupal or even create a product. So let's consider the Drupal commerce ecosystem. It's really, commerce guys, they have created a product with its own ecosystem, with its own framework, within the Drupal framework, leveraging all the flexibility that we have. And So that were some examples, but based on those examples, we have to consider why are all these people, why are all these companies really using Drupal? Why are they choosing it? And we have to distinguish that we can either compare to other CMSs and we can also compare to other frameworks, because Drupal both competes on a CMS level and also on the framework side. And compared to other CMSs, I think Drupal is much more configurable. You can really customize the user experience, and it's more extendable than the out-of-the-box solutions, like, for example, WordPress. And then, compared to other frameworks, like Django, like Ruby on Rails, we can save a lot of time and effort because we have so many subsystems available that we can combine with each other, and then we can also start very fast by using existing distributions. And of course, there's a large ecosystem of service providers available, and the active community, and I will get a little bit more into detail on that. So, what does highly configurable mean? We can really, as a site builder, in Drupal we don't need all the programming skills, but Drupal really empowers the site builder to create the kind of websites that they want. So we have content modeling tools available to us, defining content types, fields, that this is all just so convenient. And then we can combine it with tens of thousands of modules like the rules and the views, and we can really get far without any coding involved, and we can customize it to the level that we want. And then on the other side, we have the extensible APIs as a developer, where we can just hook in wherever we need to adapt something in the system and really get it in the way that we need it. So both site builders, developers, themers, they can all benefit from this great combination of being highly configurable from the user interface, but as well being extensible on the API level. And I think that's what it really makes as powerful as it is. And then there's all these subsystems available, so the entity system, defining content, users, taxonomies, commerce product, it's all standardized and reusable and can interact in a very efficient way. And then we can add organic groups functionality, the rules module. They can all operate on the different fields that are specified and that are shared, for example, across multiple content types. And if that's too hard to set up, all these subsystems, we can just look out for existing distributions that are basically package configuration of all the modules, because you might know that configuring a Drupal site usually requires more than 20, 30, maybe even 100 modules. And this is why it's so helpful to have a look at the distributions, because they are like pre-packaged starter kits where we can start from. There's Drupal, there's Commerce, there's Atrium, there's Red Hand for CRMs, there's the Panoply distribution, Recruiter, Companion. There's so many distributions with our great starting points, which we at least can take for inspiration in order to understand how all these tens of thousands of modules can work with each other. So that's a good help already. But then, if we get stuck, we can find specialized services. We can find service providers all over the world. So many companies are already providing Drupal services, and we can rely on them in order to scale our business, and in order to get, for example, we don't know about migration, so we find a company that provides migrations for us. We need some special consulting, ask this company. There's companies that focus on front-end development, others provide you with development workflow tools, and finally, of course, there's lots of trainings available. And then the drop is always moving, so the active contributions by 1 million people all over the world really makes what it is, and this community of people, it's constantly growing. So we can see this is DrupalCon, so it's not a camp, but the official Drupal conference. They started with just 50 attendees, so Drupal Camp Donetsk is already much bigger than this, right? But over the years, this has seen an exponential growth. So the big DrupalCons in the US, they already have more than 3,000 or 4,000 attendees. And also the European ones have 1,800 was the last one in Prague, as far as I remember. So Drupal is really a lot. It's a framework, it's a content management system, it's a community, it's so many subsystems, and I think this is really the power that we see, that it allows us to realize whatever vision we have. So talking about the vision, I'd like to reuse those few slides that Dries quoted from his keynote, which means that, like the big bulk, we are changing the world, and actually that's what it is, right? I mean, if we are powering already more than 2% of the web, we are actually changing the world because we are helping individuals to build a dream. Every one of us can just go to the Drupal.org website, download the software, and start building right on. And then also small organizations and NGOs, they have a bigger voice because they can use a powerful tool in order to get their voice heard. And also the big enterprise, they get a new idea because they understand that you don't always have to pay that much money on fees in order to use the software, but you can also collaborate and rely on an active community as Drupal is, and contribute back. So I think we really inspire by the power that the Drupal system provides us. And there's no boundaries. I mean, you will, as a developer, you know that there's sometimes boundaries, right? But as a developer, or as a community of Drupal developers, we always try to push those boundaries. And we will do this again, because when you take a look back at how Drupal has evolved, there was the whole form API rewrite, and CCK went into fields, is now part of core. The views module is now part of core, so really we are identifying those best practices and working together to make those best practices really shine and be really awesome. Yeah, so that's a little bit of introduction. And now I'd like to get some user voices. So Jeffrey John McGuire from Acquia, he did some interviews about my Drupal superheroes, or the superpowers of Drupal. So let's see what those people are saying.
My favorite Drupal superpower is the massive community of developers out there.
So many developers. Let's see what, does anyone know Chicks? Migrate API? Yeah? Let's see what he said.
My favorite Drupal superpower is bringing all these people together.
So I think it's interesting. I mean, these are all these top-notch developers that we know from being experts. And in the end, what they really care about is the people that they can work together with.
My favorite Drupal superpower is achieving things I can never write in code.
Yeah, site builders are happy because they can do so much stuff with Drupal without any coding required. And then the last quote.
My great Drupal superpower is the power to feed my family.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, it's not only a community thing. It's not only okay, we're happy seeing each other, but on a daily basis, we can make money by delivering the clients the solutions that they need. We should never underestimate the success of a project by seeing if we can really deliver solutions that can compete with other projects. So we've now seen all this inspiration from people and understand a little bit what Drupal is. And I would actually like to see who is attending the very first Drupal event. Is there anybody that hasn't attended another Drupal event so far? Okay. Let's see. Who of you consider yourself a developer? Whoa. Almost half of you, right? Who is more on the site builder like I can click something together. And who's more interested in the business side of things? Like I can run a business based on Drupal. Okay, nice. So if we all use Drupal and we benefit from it, I think we also have to consider to understand how does Drupal actually work as a community, because it's actually the people that write the software. And so I think my mission is to preach a little bit for the contribution part. Let me start by explaining how Drupal is built. Well, it's built by us, the people, right? So we usually meet at conferences like this. We sit together at code sprints, just because we share the passion and because we know that together we can create more efficient solutions. And as a community, we have come a long way. As I mentioned, the earlier DrupalCons, they were much smaller, and now there's already Drupal camps that are even bigger than DrupalCon was before. So that's Drupal Szeged. You can see Tatiana. Hi. And the DrupalCons themselves, they have gotten so big that it's really a great experience to go to such an event and to meet all the people that you know from the interwebs. That you finally meet those contributors of the modules, and you find out that they are not somebody super abstract, that you can talk to them and they are passionate about what they are doing. And one of those contributors, maybe the most important one, is Dries Beutert, the founder of Drupal. And I really love his quote, because he's saying that it's really the Drupal community and not so much the software that makes the Drupal project what it is. So fostering the Drupal community is actually more important than just managing the code base. So we really need to make sure that we as a community are working in terms of the community is working together, because the software can't live without the people writing the software and maintaining the software for us. And the community, they care for each other, they love the system, they're baking their DrupalCon cookies. You can even see the outlaws drawing the DrupalCon logo somewhere on the university. And we can find them all over the world. So that was only the Drupal 7 release party that happened at the very same time. You can see that America and Europe is pretty big, but all over the world, people are using Drupal. And for myself, I was really, really inspired when I was living for 1 year in Central America, Nicaragua. I could be part of like this grassroots movement where they had the first Drupal camp, and then I decided, okay, I want to travel, and I'm able to travel. Why not meet all these great free software open source communities and visit them to talk about Drupal? And it allowed me to meet great people from all over Central America doing 14 presentations. And since then, I really feel part of the community, and I did it again in 2011 because I love to combine traveling with meeting the people, which makes you visit great places. So I didn't make it there, but it's just an inspiration of wherever you want to go as a web developer. I mean, basically you just need some Wi-Fi and some infrastructure, and I think that's also a key point that we can, on an international level, collaborate with each other. So everything is perfect, right? Yeah. Well, in an ideal world, yes, but we're obviously also facing some tough challenges. One challenge that Drupal is most famous about is that the Drupal learning curve is frustrating. So hands up for everybody who has wanted to beat their head against the wall while building websites with Drupal because it was maybe too hard for you. So I don't believe you. Yeah. So Drupal is actually a complex system, and sometimes it's hard to learn, but then in the end you will find a lot of help. You can just ask other people. On the other hand, Drupal can also be worrisome for, let's say, from a developer standpoint. The engineering director says that they need tribal knowledge. So currently in Drupal, you need to learn a lot about the form API, all the hook system, and if you haven't been a Drupal developer before, that's a lot of stuff that you have to learn specifically for Drupal, and that makes it a little bit worrisome. Also, having configuration and content in the database and all these deployment workflows with features, it's a little bit cumbersome at the moment. Yeah, that makes deployment hard, and scalability, of course, is also an issue to be concerned for Drupal 7. The front-end developers, they are kind of pissed because there's too many divs around. The markup is too complex, and it's hard to get your head around the theming layer. So that's also a challenge that we're facing in Drupal 7. And then the small site owners, they think that it's just, okay, Drupal is so powerful, that's great, but why does it require me to install 50 modules until I get a normal blog site up and running? Or why is there no WYSIWYG in core? Why can't I upload images and so on? Where do I find documentation? So that's a lot of challenges, and yesterday we have heard Angie Byron, Webchick, talk about what's so cool about Drupal 8. And I think I just want to go quickly over this because we have seen that in Drupal 8 there will be much more better. So we have better configuration management in order to deploy the changes that we make locally. And we have lots of other initiatives like the mobile initiative, blocks, Mightylingual, views, web services, and many more. The entity API has involved in core. There's Twig. Yeah, and Drupal 8 will have a lot more features, but what I really think is most important is that we do not try to invent things on our own anymore, but we try to look what others are doing, and reaching out to the bigger PHP community means that we can now leverage best practices that others are using as well. So, for example, we are based now on Symfony. We are using object-oriented code, not so much procedural code anymore. And this whole thing about getting off the island and being able to work with others, I think is really important, because it's also for you as a developer important to not only rely on Drupal as a system, but now for Drupal 8 you will be learning things that you can apply in contributing or in working on projects with Symfony, for example, which is a huge win. And will also make it easier for us to attract other developers outside that are used to modern PHP best practices as object-oriented code, dependency injection, and so on. So I think this whole mentality of getting off the island is really important. And whom can we thank for this? It's the big initiative leads. So Larry Garfield is an architect, forward thinker. He has been preaching for the Butler initiative for web services and context in core for quite a long time. And now we have made great progress. Especially I would like to thank him for reaching out to the Symfony community and making this collaboration happen. Then if we talk about front-end, let's mention Morten DK, but there's also been Jacine on HTML5, John Albin on the mobile initiative, Jen Lampen-Kotzer, they all work together in order to make Twig as a front-end library in order to write more reusable markup and to attract new themers. So it's definitely their leadership that brings us forward in that direction. Mightylingual. So Dabernig I really think that he's doing a great job on leading his initiative because he manages to attract so many new developers, and he does a very good job at targeting newcomers with a very good process of the initiative. So I think before, contributing to Drupal core was much more harder, and now as we have the initiatives, people can jump in much easier because they have people that they talk to for a specific domain, like the Mightylingual initiative is, or Twig for the front-enders is, and we really benefit from those. Then there's also the core maintainers. They are quite awesome. So we have seen Webchick talk yesterday, and basically Dries has extended the team of core maintainers. So now there is Dries, there's Catch, there's Webchick and Alex Pot on the team. So we now have 4 core maintainers that allow the project to move on much faster. And we have seen this at Drupal Camp Saget, for example, where they basically worked all around the time in shifts and made it possible that so many core patches could get committed. And besides the code side of things, I would like to make a shout out for Josef McGuire, who is really a cool GL leader for the Drupal community. He usually does a lot of keynote speeches, and he talks to all the community and tries to promote the project on that level. Yeah, so we can see a lot of superheroes, a lot of leaders in our community, and I think it's really important to have these kind of role models that allow us to see on which kind of levels you can contribute to the project. But then in the end, it's not them alone, right? So they are the more visible ones. They're like the rock stars. But back in the system, we had more than 2,000 contributors only working on Drupal core itself, and that number has been constantly increasing. So we can see that from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, this number is now more than 2,000 already. We managed to attract more and more contributors by organizing ourselves a little bit better in all these different initiatives. Yeah, so that's working pretty cool already. It's very cool. But we still need more. We still need more because Drupal has really grown into a very complex system. We are also now, we have to maintain Drupal 6, we are maintaining Drupal 7, and we are actively working on Drupal 8. So there's always work to do. This is why I want to talk about the case for core contribution, or for contribution in general. Because, as I mentioned, it's not something, Drupal is not something that grows on trees, but that's created by the community itself. And now you might wonder what is necessary to do the same in order to get a contributor. So the secret to Drupal success is basically being one of the 0.05%. That's a very low number. It's sad face and stuff. But it's true, right? There's so many people using Drupal, there's so many people downloading Drupal, and I guess all of you have some kind of relationship to Drupal if you're using it on your own project. And you might already be a contributor, and if not, let's consider that this number can raise and increase in a very significant amount by just getting more people on the project. And what you can get back from it is that once you start to contribute and once you start to engage more with the community, once you start writing patches, once you start engaging with others, they will recognize your name and they will also have more incentive to help you. So I'm kind of using that approach on my projects as well. So when I run into some issue with, for example, the views module, I know the views maintainers and they know me, so I can go on IRC and ping them and ask them. And as they have a little bit more of social trust already because they know me from doing presentations, or they know me from other Drupal events, they will recognize my name and help me out. It also helps you to learn faster and save time and money. So getting into the internals of Drupal itself, especially for Drupal core, allows you to learn a lot about how the internals really work, and then you can apply this knowledge, this internal knowledge, or this currently tribal knowledge on the projects that you are realizing, and it will really accelerate the business that you're doing with Drupal. Because you basically, by engaging with the others and by contributing, you will learn a lot about the best practices and how the system internally works. And as a business owner, it also gets you more of the business, because people will just recognize your company name if you are famous for good contributions, and people will ask you for implementation, or it will attract the better developers, because we have a huge demand for good developers in the Drupal community, and as these developers can choose wherever they want to work for, basically, you as a company need to be attractive in some way, and help allowing your developers to dedicate, for example, 10% or 20% of their time to work on contribution really will attract new developers for your company. Yeah, and you can stay up to date, because being close to the project means that you will always be on the pulse of Drupal and can plan on a more strategic level. And finally, it gives you a stronger voice in the project, because when people recognize your name, you can also try to influence it in the way that you want to see the project move on. So yeah, that's why collaboration is going on, and that's why I think especially for developers, being part of the Drupal community can mean a lot, because you sit together and you're part of this process that is really intense, but it's all really rewarding. Yeah. Consider the Drupal skills map. So I know it's complex, and that's only an abstract view. What it basically means is that in order to succeed at using Drupal for your project, you need a lot of knowledge. You need all this knowledge within your team. So there's different roles. You need to know how to engage with the community. You need a little bit knowledge about content management, how to do site building, theming, coding, and then the DevOps stuff with server management. But all this knowledge you can really improve in order when you engage with others from the community, because they have the similar problems that you have, and then you can exchange. And remember, you do not have to be smart or a super genius to work on core. That's not true. The contributor is not like this abstract animal that's working on code. What is a contributor actually? So the contributor sees something, and that's a problem. So you realize, okay, this module that I'm using, it's doing it in the wrong way. And you think, that's just dumb. I don't like this. So I want to see it fixed. So part 2, you care about the problem. And finally, you can do something about it. So you can change it. And how you can change it? So we really need those people. They are seeing problems, they care about the problems, and they find a way to fix it. And the way to fix problems in Drupal is not, you don't need to have the knowledge in advance. But what you can do is you can just report the problem, you can find people and talk to them. Hey, I've seen this issue and I would like to get it fixed. Can you please help me, or can you give me a hint where I should start from? So yeah, we're all scared in the beginning. You can see, for example, Webchick. She has a blog post where she describes how intimidating it was for her to actually get started with contributing to the Drupal community. And now we feel like, oh, she's a rock star, so she's like super great at doing things. But every one of us, remember that every one of us has started in a similar way. And the point is just do you care about it? Do you want to do it? Then you can do it. And we will help you do that. How we will help you, for example, go to the core mentoring hours. So on IRC, there's actually mentors that they have IRC meetings where they will answer any question that you have, and they will do hand-holding for you. They will tell you how you can be a successful contributor. And remember, it's a bureaucracy. That means everyone can do whatever they want in Drupal, basically. Everyone can propose the changes that they want to see, but we cannot really rely on. So often it happens that somebody files an issue in the queue and says this is a bug report and it's critical because I need it fixed for my client project right now. And then as a maintainer, you feel like, okay, that's your problem and you want to see it fixed, and why should I do it for you? So we always have to keep in mind that how the maintainers think, and if it wouldn't be nicer to help them out in the first place, and then we will automatically get something back from them. So the bureaucracy means don't expect other people to fix things for you, but think about the process, how the community works, and maybe you just pay the maintainer to fix the thing for you if you need it really, really urgently. Or you find another way to fix it yourself by learning about how the module works, and the maintainer will be happy, usually, to explain you the internals of the project. So that's really about being effective at contributing. Make sure that you know how to work on Drupal.org. So this is the main place where all the software is available, and where we also have the issue queue. The issue queue, at least for me, when I first looked at the issue queues of modules, it was like, I don't like this. But then you get used to it, and it's really a helpful tool, because we can, every single problem, every single task that we have as a collective, we collect them in the issue queue, and it's really an efficient way to work on stuff. And especially for Drupal core, the issue queue can get very crowded, and it will get updated every minute basically, because so many people are working, so many people are filing support requests, and there we can use tags in order to organize ourselves better. And this is also why the initiatives are a great starting place. Now finally, what qualifies as a contribution? It's not coding. It's coding, yes, but it's so many other things. So in order to be part of the community, it doesn't really matter if you work on documentation or if you are a great event organizer. If you do some help in the issue queue, that's all great ways how you can contribute. It's just a matter of us to do it. And a great way to do it is starting with sprints. So what are sprints? They are focused contribution events where people sit together and work on Drupal, their favorite projects. And I've heard that tomorrow there will be a code sprint as well, or a contribution sprint. So sprinting in Drupal is not only tied to coding itself, but you can also think on, for example, I will lead tomorrow a sprint about the rules module in Drupal 8. And I would love to get your ideas about the user experience, about design aspects, how we can improve the usability of the rules module in Drupal 8. That would be a great thing. Then just going through the issue queue and reviewing if a support request is still valid, if a bug report is still valid. These are all great, great ways to contribute, and I think Tatiana, will be leading a Drupal.org contribution spring, right? So if you care about the Drupal.org website, if you want, for example, to do some testing on the responsive stuff, if you want something fixed on Drupal.org, definitely come to us tomorrow and join us for the contribution sprint. Because in the end, if we want to go quickly, we can go alone, but if we want to go far, we have to work together, we have to go together. And this is why I think, let's do it together, go forth and build and make Drupal a much better place. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Your position, what's more important for you, code base or people who?
So the question is if code base or the community is more important?
Yeah.
For you? For me, definitely the community. I care so much more about the people than the code itself, and I know if the people are in good shape, like, I mean, you can compare this to the economy. If a country has problems, and then the economy won't work, and if the people are not happy, then the rest of stuff will not work. So you always have to make sure that on a personal level you feel happy with what you're doing, and that's why I'm passionate about the Drupal community. And I think that the code, it's just the foundation is the community, and then on top of it we can build a great software, and we are already doing it because we are a great community. But we have to keep sure that this process is healthy and in good shape.
Just a question about, you mentioned we all know that Drupal is growing really fast, a lot of modules every day, all this stuff. And for you personally, I know it's very personal, which is more important, more modules, more features, or quality of the code, and basically maintaining the efficiency of the system, because the system is growing, people tend to have, okay, let's fix it later, okay, hardware becomes more powerful, etc. What's you personally, for you personally? More modules or quality of the system internally?
Okay, so the question is if we rather want to grow our code base and have more modules, or if we want to focus on making the core or fixing the core problems in a more efficient way, or to maintain the things that we already have. And we have seen this discussion pop out over the last years, especially when I joined Drupal in 2007, 8, and 9. It was called Small Core. That was like an initiative, for example, led by Development C, because they were pushing for having Drupal core not as a product, but as a framework only. And the decision finally that's been taken is we want Drupal as a finished product. So we have seen this in Drupal 8 especially. They have included views, they have included in-place editing, they have included so much stuff that really targets Drupal as a finished product instead of being just a great developer framework. And me personally, I would love to see this a little bit more decoupled. So we have a Drupal core, and then we have a Drupal product. But on the other hand, it's like a back and forth, and yeah. But I think it would be great to see more separation, especially when we talk about now that we are based on Symfony and we can use the bundles of the Symfony project. It would really be great to make our things more decoupled and reusable and not rely on each other. And I think we are doing already a really, really great job in Drupal 8 to make systems more decoupled. But my vision on the longer road would be that most of the Drupal modules, they can just be a Symfony bundle and live and and not depend on all the other things. Thank you. Any more questions? Sure.
Will we have the rules posted tomorrow?
If
Will
we
we have the rules ported in our screens tomorrow?
So if we're gonna have rules ported tomorrow, no, I'm sorry, not.
Not ported, the sprints
Mhm.
and the initiative you were talking about.
Yeah. So, this is our new rules logo, and this is the initiative that we have started. So, yes, we can work on rules tomorrow, but I don't know how much on the code level we can already reach. So we have defined a lot of tasks, like more on the high level field. And so tomorrow we will, based on whoever is interested, if it's a developer or if you have other capabilities, we will have to look together what can we tackle already. Because the way that the initiative is set up so far, that the main maintainers, so Fargo and Klausi, they have defined all the tasks, and we have set up these tasks in the issue queue. We have already made some small progress, but it's still at the very beginning. So, like, if you're like a newbie developer, I can't promise that many rules tasks for tomorrow. But if you're already familiar with rules in Drupal 7, it would be great to get your feedback on how we have planned the features, how the functionality is designed to be, because there's going to be some really interesting stuff happening. We want to, for example, the rules events should be based on the Symfony event system, and so on. Or if you know the rules data selector, it should be reusable, so that it's not only that you can use this funky data selector not only within rules, but you can also use it, for example, for selecting context in panels, whenever panels will be ported. Yeah, for tokens and all that great stuff.
See you there.
Cool. Looking forward. Yeah, so I think thank you all and enjoy the conference. See you around.